Is Pakistan America's most reliable partner, or its most dangerous liability? For decades, Washington has been caught in a frustrating cycle, accusing its key Middle Eastern ally of playing both sides while simultaneously relying on them for crucial diplomatic maneuvers. It's a contradiction that's now front and center again, as Pakistan's military chief emerges as a key intermediary in preventing a wider conflict with Iran. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in US politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. The latest developments place Pakistan squarely back at the center of US diplomacy in the Middle East, a position it's held despite a litany of accusations, harboring Taliban safe havens, nuclear proliferation concerns, and, of course, the Osama bin Laden raid that shattered trust a decade ago. Field Marshal Asim Munir, Pakistan's army chief, has stepped into a vital role, brokering negotiations aimed at de-escalating tensions with Iran. This renewed diplomatic importance has, however, exposed deep divisions, particularly within the Republican Party. Senator Lindsey Graham, a usually staunch ally of Donald Trump, has voiced strong skepticism, stating he doesn't trust Pakistan as far as I can throw them. He questions whether Pakistan is truly a reliable mediator, especially after allegations surfaced that Iranian military aircraft may have been moved into Pakistani territory during recent conflicts. Islamabad has vehemently denied these claims. But in a stark contrast, Donald Trump himself has publicly lauded Pakistan's leadership, calling their mediation efforts absolutely great and praising the field marshal and the prime minister as great. This divergence highlights the persistent dilemma in U.S. foreign policy. How do you manage a relationship with a country that is strategically vital but consistently viewed with suspicion? The White House, while acknowledging Pakistan's efforts, echoed the sentiment of gratitude, with spokesperson Olivia Wales stating, "The United States is grateful for Pakistan's efforts to bring an end to the conflict. When Iran's nuclear threat is removed for good, the entire world will be safer and more stable." Pakistan has always occupied this peculiar, uneasy space in American foreign policy. Its strategic location, bordering both Iran and Afghanistan, its deep regional ties, and its nuclear arsenal have historically made it too important to fully isolate. Even its harshest critics acknowledge that Washington has struggled to distance itself from Islamabad due to these factors. However, the distrust between the two nations reached new heights after U.S. forces killed Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad in 2011. The fact that this operation had to be conducted without direct Pakistani support, according to former officials, spoke volumes about the lack of trust. The lingering question of whether Pakistan's intelligence apparatus could have been unaware of bin Laden's presence in a military town remains a sore point, though Pakistan has consistently denied any knowledge. Furthermore, Pakistan's approach to Afghanistan has long been viewed through the lens of its rivalry with India. Many analysts believe Pakistan saw a Taliban-friendly government in Kabul as a form of strategic leverage against Indian influence. This concept of strategic depth meant that Pakistan's security establishment historically differentiated between militant groups targeting Pakistan itself and those seen as useful against India or in Afghanistan. This led to a tolerance, or even tacit support, for some Taliban-linked and anti-India groups, even as Pakistan ostensibly cooperated with U.S. counterterrorism efforts after 9/11. On the flip side, Pakistani officials argue that the country has paid a heavy price for its alliance with Washington, citing years of devastating suicide bombings, insurgent attacks, and internal instability. Pakistan's defense minister has even acknowledged that the country performed dirty work for the U.S. and the West during decades of regional conflict, suggesting that policies tied to the anti-Soviet war and the post-9/11 era ultimately destabilized Pakistan. Critics, however, maintain that Pakistan's security establishment played a dangerous game, publicly cooperating with Washington while simultaneously allowing or supporting groups that were actively fighting American troops in Afghanistan. The recent allegations regarding Iranian military aircraft further complicate the picture, adding another layer of suspicion and scrutiny to Pakistan's role. And then there's Pakistan's nuclear history, a constant source of concern in Washington, particularly after the architect of its nuclear program admitted to operating a proliferation network that supplied technology to countries like Iran, Libya, and North Korea. Even after 9/11, counterterrorism analysts warned of al-Qaeda operatives finding sanctuary in Pakistan's tribal regions, though the extent of these networks is still debated. Pakistan, for its part, denies supporting terrorist organizations and points to the heavy toll Islamists' violence, including attacks by ISIS-K and the Pakistani Taliban, has taken on the country itself. More than a decade after the bin Laden raid eroded trust, Pakistan's military leadership, particularly Field Marshal Munir, is once again proving to be a critical, albeit controversial, diplomatic channel for Washington, especially during this escalating Iran crisis. Trump's direct engagement with Munir suggests a recognition, as many have long perceived, that Pakistan's military, not its civilian government, remains the true power broker. Munir, leveraging Pakistan's deep regional relationships, has positioned himself as a crucial intermediary between Washington and Tehran. Analysts suggest Pakistan is actively working to rebrand its international image as a stabilizing force in the region, presenting itself as a purveyor of peace. This isn't the first time Pakistan has played a backstage role. It was instrumental in the US-Taliban negotiations that led to the 2020 Doha Agreement. However, that agreement itself was controversial, with critics arguing it weakened the Afghan government and ultimately paved the way for the Taliban's return to power. Even Pakistan's relationship with the Taliban has become strained since their return, with Islamabad accusing Kabul of failing to prevent cross-border attacks and even threatening military action. Ultimately, Pakistan's complex role mirrors a broader, enduring debate in U.S. foreign policy. Does the strategic necessity of engaging with Islamabad outweigh the deep-seated concerns about its relationships with militant groups and regional adversaries? It's a question that has persisted for decades, and one that, more than a decade after the bin Laden raid, Washington still seems unable, or perhaps unwilling, to definitively answer. So, what do you think about this complicated relationship? Is Pakistan a necessary evil in global diplomacy, or a partner too risky to fully trust? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. The United States continues to navigate this delicate balancing act, a testament to the enduring complexities of global power and alliances.